Righty. You guys, good to be here. Welcome. Come in. Get yourself situated. Get your get your get your ears on. Have a seat. Kick off your shoes and stay a while. Right? Because we're gonna immense to chowing down. We're gonna chow down on some things that we need spiritually, emotionally, mentally. We talked about 2 videos ago about inner child, getting over those hurts and things that have happened to us, and stuff like that. And I'm just adjusting my phone because sometimes I'll have stuff go off, like notifications, and I don't want them on that loud. A couple of the videos I've heard them go off, and nobody's complained to me about it. I'm complaining to me about it. I don't want to hear that. But anyways, it ain't about complaining today. That's welcome back in. So that we talked about dealing with shadow self, and the inner child, as I'm taking it, is really the majority of the shadow self. We demonize the shadow self. I have, and I know many people have, as like a demon, a dark energy. But then I would say it's you. It's really the shadow self of the work you didn't do. Because of a child, you're not equipped to do inner work on yourself. In a perfect physical world, we'd have perfect parents who weren't abused and had shit happen to me. I didn't mean to cuss. You call it cussing. I don't really call that cussing, but many get offended by it. But I hope you don't get offended easy and get some tough skin. But if it does, I really don't cuss too much here. Sometimes you'll hear words, but it's not regularly. And that's good for me because I can be very passionate on what I know or what I'm experiencing, right? But just sometimes the inner work is not getting done. And the child can't do the inner work when you were that version of yourself because you're not equipped to do it because you went through some things that really you didn't need to, right? Some of the stuff is really out of the child's hands. Children end up having all these issues and not knowing why they have the issues because it was kind of born in the situations that happen. Say a mother goes through all this trauma while she's giving birth. There's processing of what that baby's feeling and knowing. People arguing around the baby as it's a young child, right? Even within the mother's womb. And it picks up on that. That's an energy they're picking up, a frequency. Because some people say, well, they were only 2 months old. They didn't know we were fighting or, drinking a Raisin Cane. Yeah. But the spirit and the frequency did. And then it hovers. And if it's the same people, it will, until they cast it out, it's always going to be there, right? Definitely people doing the inner work on this stuff. But I'm going to share some videos, a video and some other stuff. We're going to get into it now. It's something I think you guys will be really, will like. All right. Oh, yeah. Oh, you know what? They have a new setup here, and it's way better because I clicked on it. I didn't have to, block everything out and everything. This is the first time I've seen it, so because I got a notification that they did some work to stuff, so. And I was like, okay, please don't be too bad with it, because sometimes new stuff isn't always better right away until you learn how to work it. But anyways, what is shadow work? And this is going to come into play. We're going to talk about this goes back to doing the inner child work, but this goes back to shadow self, about doing this work on thyself. If you haven't started, or if you're in the middle of it, the beginning stages of it, or haven't entered into it yet, beware. It's part of what you need to do to go through the healing and acceptance of whatever was ever happened in your life, even before you came out of the womb, through mothers carrying her frequency and vibration, right? So shadow work is a process exploring your inner darkness or shadow self. When we say shadow self, it's the inner darkness. That's why a lot of times, like, you get a yin and yang symbol in ancient symbols, and we're like, oh, that's evil. It wasn't meant to be evil. That's another hijack. That's a whole different level of what evil is. Darkness can be darkness. It means ignorance. Darkness actually goes into ignorance. You can have darkness and not be evil. That's a whole different category to get into, right? Shadow work covers every part of you that has been disowned. Think about that, disowned. It's actually you disowning aspects of yourself and the pain that you went through and never dealing with it to heal it. That's why you keep hearing me that you lock the little child of yourself in a room. And it was a dark room. You kept left the light on, and they're trying to play. And now they're saying, "I've been left here for decades," with many of us, and you never came and you never came and got me. You never came and recouped me. You never came and brought me in. You never came and claimed me. You just pushed me aside at this level I was at, right? Disowned, I like this, has been disowned, repressed, rejected. And this really is going to be the ones that repressed it and disowned it and rejected it is you within yourself. A lot of it, as a child, like I said earlier, you couldn't do this work. It was impossible to do this work. You weren't equipped to do this work. You didn't know about this work. You were the child that was repressed, going to be repressed, right? It is one of the most authentic paths to enlightenment, loner wolf. So I kind of like this part right here. I had to share that. So let's start. Let's go here. So shadow work is a practice that involves exploring right here. All right, let's go up a little bit. Right here, I got this from here, and then we're gonna watch a video by Gabor Mate, and I may not be saying it right. Hungarian American, definitely, but very powerful. From what I've seen, I've watched a few of his videos and his takes I really like because some of it is just what I have seen. And you might say, what do you mean it's what you'd seen? A lot of times we label things and say, oh, it's just genetics. And I'm thinking, when I think about it right away, I think about health, right? Oh, it's just genetics. It's because your uncle had it. Your mom, dad, grandparents, great-grandparents had it. You're going to have it. And the thing I started thinking, this is a thought I had a while ago, was, let me definitely shorten the screen, right? No. Give me patience. You're dealing with there we go. I don't like that either, but here we go. No. No, they really changed things around with this because they did do something different. I did not want this part on here, but let's just make this big then again. Okay. I'm having patience even with myself. Think about this. That's why I think this applies to all of us. I can see an application of this to me. Of not having, for me, it's a little bit, I can sometimes not have patience on certain things. Certain things don't bother me at all with patience, like children don't bother me at all, or old people, in certain situations in the grocery store, just slowing things down. But really something about AI and going through the tech stuff at times can. But anyways, we all have these. You know what I'm talking about. If you take and we're here not to judge anybody, but take full responsibility for yourself. not, this goes with no blaming. Blame's lame. You become lame if you blame. And it will not activate your responsibility and all the things that come with when you start having gratitude, responsibility, taking these type of things that come with it that always have been difficult to do when you're trying to do it outside yourself. Well, anyways, so anyways, the goal is, let's just go back over here. So the practice involves exploring the unconscious mind, to uncover repressed parts of oneself, such as trauma, undesirable personality traits. The goal is to integrate these parts into oneself. I'm going to stop there before I read this. This reminds me of something I've said in past videos that I just kind of revelated on. Got a revelation, and I said, I really revelated on it one day. And somebody had said it, and I had revelated on. And it was, as the conscious light shines, as the light shines into the conscious mind, it reflects through the unconscious mind, right? And it creates a shadow in the conscious areas because it's dark, right? The light shines so strong through the conscious mind, and then the reflection, or like the projector, we've talked about the projector, and then it's just like this, it becomes a shadow within the unconscious mind. And as you could hear, I kind of have some stuff again. Kind of like the reason I took a few days off too. Definitely have to ante up my vitamins, nutrients, greens, and all those stuff. And that's what I was looking at. That unconscious mind, it becomes a reflection. You notice I keep talking about, I had videos of the reflection of self. The reflection of self, looking at a mirror, looking at a glass house. This all fits into it. The goal is to integrate these parts, and this is why, integrate parts like shattered glass, right, into oneself, meaning make it not a piece, but make it whole. That's why I always say wholeness. I'm not looking for a piece of pie, I'm looking for the wholeness. I think we sometimes have to look past, right? Not looking for a piece of the pie, looking for wholeness. So we're taking the shattered aspects or these parts into our oneself to become more whole, what I was saying, and have more well-rounded experience of life. Shadow work can help improve self-awareness. You know, we're about awareness here. This is the toolbox. This is one of the reasons you need the toolbox. Understanding the motivations, desires, fears, behaviors that can lead to more authentic living and aligned decision making. The term shadow work and the concept of shadow self comes from Carl Jung, the Swiss founder of the analytical psychology, who believed that everyone has parts of their personality that are unconscious or repressed. So the repression, I could see the pushing back and alienating would be the unconsciousness. That these parts make up the shadow self. Some practices we can go down is journaling, because I told you what some of the tools you can use. Journaling. And one I didn't mention that I thought about afterwards, our last video, was meditation is a direct descendant that you need to use. If you don't meditate, and quit making excuses, because you need to. And it all begins with the first step. If you've never meditated before, that's cool. It's all right. Even if you go 5 minutes. But there's some tools that you can use to start. One tool I'll give real quick for meditation. If you're starting and you're like, I don't know how, you're going to sit, try to be quiet, and you're going to find out that there's that side of your mind is going to play like a record album. Ba-boom, boom, ba-boom, boom. It's going to keep repeating things. Everything that you think physically you need responsibility. Got bills to pay. Got all the bills to pay. Got all the responsibilities start popping up, and you'll notice that your mind is like a tape recorder that never shuts up. So that's what you'll notice. Writing letters, role playing. Some prompts for shadow work include, what are my core values? What do I feel in my body when I'm scared of anxiousness? Do the people around me represent my values? What situations I'm most hard on myself? How would I describe myself? What makes me feel self-conscious? So those are just some kind of things. Jot down, take a picture, stop the video, write them down if you must, or take the picture if you must. to have these core values. But I'm telling you, I left out meditation as part of my toolbox. It's a big part. Learning to, and also with meditation, add breathing. Because if you're always having these thoughts, I'll give you the key thing. When you have all these thoughts, start breathing and paying only attention to your breath. You'll notice thoughts will go away. Pay attention only to your breath. Thoughts will go away. And even doing the, how it comes in and goes out, in and out. And just pay attention to that. And you'll be amazed how, then just kind of recall and think, when I was going through the breathing and paying attention to my breath, and even start holding your breath for 3, 4, 5 seconds, you'll understand. You'll go, I didn't have any thoughts at that time. So we're going to listen to a very good radio from Gabor Mate that I was telling you about. And this one's called The Inner Child. It lasts 12 minutes, 49 seconds. I will turn off if I really feel to make something a point. So, okay. Guys, just stick with me. We'll be good. Let's go.
Welcome to a transformative journey with Dr. Gabor Mate, where we delve into the depths of resilience and healing. Join us as we uncover the secrets of inner wounds and learn invaluable insights to nurture your inner child.
Feel the tension, rigidity and pain in the body of the mother or of anyone else he's with. If the mother's suffering, the baby suffers too. The pain never gets discharged. Now, what do you do as a 2-month-old, and that was my first year of my life, when your mother is depressed, terrorized, in grief over the death of her parents in Auschwitz, the absence of her husband in a forced labor camp? As a 2-month-old, as a 6-month-old, what do you do with that pain and stress? You tune it out. But when do you tune it out? When your brain is developing. When every second.
Notice the tune out. The tune out's what I was saying as like he explained, 2-month-olds and older. They have to tune out because they're not really aware, and they hide it. It starts hiding within them, right? We seen earlier. I mentioned the light. It hides within them, and it's for you to dig out and deal with as an adult, because a child can't deal with it at this time. Children act like children. They don't get their way. What happened? This is talking about. He mentioned 2 months. They're still on total need of mom and dad. Let's continue.
And there are periods in the first year of life when every second, in this space of time, millions of brain connections are being made. Guess what? That adaptation of tuning out goes from a temporary state to a trait. And so 52 years later, I'm finally diagnosed with ADHD. Why my kids? My kids grew up in Vancouver, no war. My kids weren't abused. There was no substance addiction. I wasn't an alcoholic or anything like that. I was a workaholic physician. Why was I a workaholic physician? Because the message I got from the world very early on is I wasn't wanted. Not because my mother didn't want me, but for the child to feel wanted, the mother has to be happy. The mother has to be emotionally present. And children, when they don't get that, it's all about themselves. Children are truly narcissistic in that sense. It's not a pejorative, just a statement of reality.
Did you hear that? I find that very interesting. Children automatically are going to be about themselves with their maturity level and be narcissistic. That's pretty funny. But it's true. I can see that.
They think it's all about themselves. They think it's all about themselves. when you see a narcissistic personality like Donald Trump, what you're seeing is a highly traumatized person who still thinks it's all about him because he didn't get those needs met as a child. So he's still trying to get it. Pay attention to me. So the personality that we develop actually is an adaptation. I'll go into that in a moment. Go back to my own kids. So, and then when I was a year old, my mother actually gave me to a total stranger in the street to save my life. Because she didn't know if she'd be alive the next day. And so I didn't see her for a month. Deep sense of abandonment, not being wanted. Now, I don't recall that. I can't recall being handed to a stranger in the streets of Budapest because there's nothing to recall with. The brain's organ in the brain, the hippocampus that encodes recall memory, is not developed then yet. It doesn't develop till later. But the emotional implicit memory of abandonment is deep in me, so that when 5 weeks ago I arrived home from Vancouver, from Philadelphia, from a speaking engagement, and I'm feeling really good about myself. I think I'm really centered and grounded. Haha. And my wife does not pick me up at the airport, or she texts me saying I'll be 15 minutes late. I go into a rage. What's that rage about? The woman whom I need is not here for me. That's an implicit memory. And we're governed by these implicit memories until we become aware, until we become conscious, until I can notice that anger rising up in me. Anger is rising. What's that about? Like Thich Nhat Hanh talks about calming. First of all, you recognize that there's an emotion arising inside you, and then he says, you accept it. Right now, there's anger. And then you hold the anger, mindfully, like you'd hold a baby. And then you look, what is it actually all about? And then the insight comes, this is old stuff. Okay, well then, nothing to be upset about, right? So the solution is mindfulness, but I'm laying out the problem for you, which is the implicit memories with my children. And so since that wasn't wanted, I have to compensate. Now, how do you compensate for not being wanted? By making yourself needed. They may not want me, but they're going to need me. So this is going to be on all the time. And I'm available for all my patients all the time, 24/7. And I'll never say no to taking on more patients, because that's another sign that I'm being wanted, right? Or needed. Where does that leave my...
That's kind of a, think about this. A thought comes to me that most of us do. Since I like how it went to, how do you make up for your lack of feeling wanted, is I'm going to make myself feel needed, right? And then he's looking like, I'm working as, shoot, I'm working all the time. I'm needed. I'm a must, right? In this. And then it would be into being a workaholic, and what would go with that. Just think about it, because I know a lot of people have been workaholics before. I used to do this a lot, being a single dad, the 3 boys, actually part of it needing the money, but I used to work a lot of overtime, 100-hour weeks and 114-hour weeks, and for pay periods, 2 weeks, 120-hour pay periods and stuff like that, all which, I get 40 hours of overtime, but other ways, why was motivation besides needing money? There's actually emotional need possibly to be met, is what he's saying. Let's listen.
My kids. With the sense that they're not wanted because daddy's not around. And mommy is so stressed because daddy's not around.
Yeah.
So they tune out. Now they're diagnosed with ADD. Genetic disease? Nonsense. Multi-generational trauma. and stress being passed on as it affects brain development. And if you want to understand why we're seeing a preponderance of childhood developmental disorders, like all these diagnoses, autism, 40-fold increase, childhood bipolar illness, so-called, depression, anxiety, ADHD, conduct disorders, oppositional defiant disorder, which, by the way, if I have time to tell you, doesn't even exist. It's a figment of the imagination.
He's saying some of the stuff in a very more clinical way, even though I worked in mental health for upward 20-something years. But if I could be straight out just talking to the people, like I would say back in the day, the homies, talking to his people, say it in this way, it makes sense, because I was starting not to buy it because I'm a little older, and I was seeing how what he's talking about jumped heavily in the 80s and skyrocketed into what we see now.
Defiant disorder. But all these diagnoses, behavior problems, the school problem, the learning difficulties, you know what we're looking at? We're looking at the biology of loss as it's affecting the brains of our children. And then how we respond to it is with medications and behavior control, instead of saying, what's going on here? Or what's going
I'm sorry, I won't keep interrupting, but something I wanted to say earlier that hit me was, when people have problems, we'll say they're crazy, right? We use that term, which is a term that makes people feel bad. They don't want to feel that people are labeling them that, right? Which I get. And we have all those labelings. But the reality is, what I was seeing when he was saying that is what he said, and I've kind of discovered him a few months ago, talking about some other things, but was the fact that we are living, I heard somebody say, have this post right on social media. If somebody we call them crazy, but if society does it, we just say, well, that's society. It's a society situation is what it is.
on here is that our children are acting out their lost attachment.
Society's crazy.
And so what else do? If they lose their attachment, if the adults are not available to them, the adults are not present, when a duckling hatches from the egg, he immediately imprints on the mother duck, and imprinting is an attachment drive. So imprinting means that I'm going to follow you. You're going to be my mentor, my nurturer, my protector, my model. And it's by being with you that I'll survive, and it's by being with you that I'll learn how to be a duck. Well, we well know that, but the attachment drive is absolutely biological. It's not negotiable. And if the creatures and entities that nature had intended would be there for your attachment needs are not there, you're still going to attach. But to whoever's around. So that little duckling will then attach to a moving mechanical toy or a horse. Will imprint on them and follow them around. None of which are capable of bringing that duckling up to adulthood. Our children, guess what? When the adults are absent, and in your country particularly with the barbaric attitude towards maternal leave, where is it 6 weeks of unpaid leave or something? Well, that child needs to be with the mother for at least 9 months. 3 years, actually. Or the father, some nurturing, mothering parent. Any wonder? Then we put them in daycares, where the daycare workers are not trained to understand attachment, because attachment is just not taught. It's not taught in medical school, it's not taught in educational faculties, it's not taught in faculties of training of child workers. It's all about mechanics, behaviors, so on and so forth. Well, the most important thing is attachment. So, what do children do? Well, they're programmed to attach. like the duckling. But the nurturing adults are not around. And the adults who are around are not nurturing. They'll attach to other kids. So that's another book I wrote called Hold On to Your Kids. It's about how children become necessarily attached to other children, and now they become each other's models. Because once you attach, you start to orient. So orientation, or getting a sense of direction, how to be, how to talk, how to walk, you get that from the people that you're attached to. In a culture, incidentally, like a tribal culture, Darcia Narvaez at Notre Dame has done studies on the optimal parenting environment, and she thought it to be the hunter-gatherer tribe, because multiplicity of adult attachments, not just mom or dad, uncles, aunts, elders,
Village.
grandparents, cousins.
Takes a
the
village.
whole tribe is a parent to the child.
Wow. Village
And
raise a tribe.
children are never put
Child,
down.
whole
There's
village.
none of this nonsense of putting a kid down at night and letting him cry it out so he goes back to sleep. What barbaric custom that is.
Oof.
Taught by doctors, sleep specialists. For God's sakes, what we're teaching parents is to ignore their kids' need for attachment.
Wow. Yeah, that's powerful. That's being taught. What he just mentioned, I know for a fact that's being taught, because I know people who are doing it. Just let them cry themselves to sleep. He's saying it's barbaric. For me, when I was told, I won't, but I've heard about it, and it is being taught some in the medical field.
What message is the kid getting? That the world doesn't give a damn. Sure, you go back to sleep. You know why he goes back to sleep? To get away from the pain.
Wow.
And you've imprinted in his brain that the world doesn't care. And the Buddha said that with our minds we create the world. What he didn't say was that that's modern psychology. That before with our minds we create the world creates our minds. So when we have a mind in which we're ignored, in which we're not present with, we won't be present to ourselves. We'll ignore our own needs, or we'll try and get through adaptations by suppressing our anger or being super nice, or if we didn't get the attention needed, then we want to attract attention, so we become super consumed with how we look, hence the $15 or $30 billion cosmetic surgery industry in your country. These are just adaptations to loss. And the personality that we develop is not who we are. It's largely an adaptation.
Let me get this off. All right, stop. Get rid of screen share. All right, that's very powerful. Attachment was a powerful word presented in that. It really was. And adoption or adaptation, adaption, and yeah, adaption and attachment. Yeah, there's some powerful things said there. So we've dealt with that. Now we're looking at people around us. I am, and people connected to me and stuff. But also, this go back to you, your temple. This happened to you too, right? This is why you need to do the shadow work that was mentioned in the first part, right? That we talked about. I hope you guys liked it, got a lot out of it. I thought it was powerful. I appreciate you guys for everything that you have done, being here, being present here, sending messages. Got a message this morning from somebody just telling me have a great day and all that went with that, you know. You guys just have a great day too. And look for this. This will be coming out Sunday. So when it comes out Sunday, so obviously I'm recording on Saturday. I'm recording a few on Saturday. So you guys have a great day.